Alright, your clutch has 4 duties. First thing is at idle, you need to disengage the clutch from your rear tire so that you can sit there and idle without moving. But when the engine accelerates, you need to engage the clutch so you can move forward. The second one is to disengage or engage while at speed, which is what happens when you shift gears. The third one is to be a slipper clutch so that when you downshift, you don't lock up the back tire. And the fourth feature is to filter the oil. All right, so you've got your bell housing, which is splined to the engine crank right here. And then you have your clutch basket, which is connected to this gear, the spline, and that gear is part of your primary gear set. So when you're accelerating, the engine is spinning the bell housing. The energy is being transferred through the friction plates and the clutch plates, and then through the gears to your rear tire. So here's your clutch pack. You've got standard plate in between friction plates. So the friction plates are splined to this internal gear, which is connected to your rear tire, and the metal plates have these tabs, and those fit into the bell housing. So these spin with the speed of the engine, and when you press these together, that's when you get the energy transferred. So if you watch, I'm going to hold this plate steady, and then I'm going to spin this, and you can see the friction plates are spinning in between the metal plates. And then if we put pressure on it, it makes it start to lock up. Goal. We need to disengage the clutch while at idle so that we can sit still at a stop sign. And that's accomplished from these rollers. You've got these rollers and they're on a ramp. So when you're at idle, the roller is down in this position and it's pretty even with this plate. But when you give it throttle and the engine accelerates, these rollers go to the outside and they come up just a few millimeters above the plate. And this is what pushes on this clutch pack. The second duty of your clutch is to be able to disengage or engage at any RPM, which is what you use when you shift gears. You've got your rollers that are spinning outward whenever the engine RPM is up, and that's putting pressure on your clutch pack to stay engaged between the engine and your rear tire. But what happens is you've got these clutch springs that are located in this bell housing. I have them removed right now so you can see the movement. But if you look at this plate is even with this tab, which is where the clutch pack sits. And so when you shift on a semi-auto, and I'm pretty sure it works like this on an H too, the cable pushes on the pressure plate and it shifts the bell housing down. And so now these rollers, even though it's subtle, the clutch pack is going to be taller than where the rollers can reach, and you're going to disengage so that you can move into the next gear, so you're not putting all the pressure on your teeth and cogs, and then it will slide right back and re-engage the clutch. Here's your clutch stack. This is the adjustment screw that goes on the outside and it's held by a nut. This plate is held in place by this pin that goes in the cover. So when you put your cover on, the stack is squeezed down like this. When you shift, Harper is helping me. When you shift, this moves this way and this way for upshift, downshift. And because the cover is holding this plate steady, when this arm moves, you force this ball bearing to spin, and it goes from this notch down to this lower level, which then pushes down on the clutch and disengages it. The third duty of your clutch is to be a slipper clutch when you downshift. What happens when you downshift is the rear wheel starts to drive the engine for a split second, and so the clutch is designed to slip to allow the two units to equalize in speed. So you've got the bell housing moving with the engine, you've got the clutch pack and spline moving with the rear wheel. Normally the clutch pack fits right over here in this little lip. What happens is when the engine's driving your back wheel, you're moving clockwise. But whenever you downshift, the rear wheel actually puts energy back in the engine and it turns this backwards for a split second. And it's very subtle, but those lip comes up. And what that's doing is it's picking the clutch pack up off the rollers. And so it's disengaging the clutch so the two speeds can synchronize, and then it allows them to connect again. Fourth duty of your clutch is to actually be an oil filter, which is kind of neat. Uses centrifugal force, so the bell housing spinning with the speed of the engine. Oil enters from the oil pump through the centrifugal inlet cover, which is mounted right here. There's a gasket that goes on here, so you can keep all the dirt trapped in. As it spins, all the particulates get caught in these cracks, and then the clean oil goes into your crank bearing. Alright, so some basic maintenance. You want to clean your oil filter every 600 miles. That's what the shop manual says anyway. Just open it up, clean all the, looks like sludge, clean it all out, and replace the gasket. Your clutch springs, they have a spec on them. I think it's a 13/16. Anything shorter than that, then on free space or free length, they need to be replaced. Another thing to keep in mind is they should all be even too. If you got one that's really tall, it's going to put uneven pressure on your clutch and cause the friction plates to wear funny. You also want to pull your rollers out, make sure they roll even and they don't have a flat spot on them. These are the weights that when the engine RPM increases, they roll up the ramp and put pressure on the plate. If you've got a flat spot, then you're not going to get even pressure and you're going to get a slip clutch. You can also replace your friction plates if they get glazed over. You should have little grooves in them like that.